God gives you vision, he gives you provision. And I find myself being placed in places that I didn't drive to. So now it's like, he's in the driver's seat. Oh, meant for get out.
Welcome back to the Value of Vulnerability podcast. I've been talking to my good friend, Luke, aka multi-award-winning Still Shadey. We're going to continue now, and I'm going to ask you, Luke, can you remember what your earliest memory was?
I mean, it's not a bright one.
It doesn't matter. Because often they are traumatic. Often they're often attached to an emotion.
Yeah, I mean, well, essentially, my house just got burnt down. In Brixton.
How old do you think you were then?
I was 3.
3, yeah.
And we went on holiday, and I remember the memory I vividly remember is being at the back of my dad's car, outside of the flat. It's burnt, and my dad is having a conversation with a builder, and I'm looking outside of the window, and I can just see the house. I don't have memories of in the house.
Right, okay. But you could just see.
I remember being out of it, and out, through pictures and conversations, you form an understanding that I was there. Yeah. But the memory itself is seeing that, my house has been burnt, which, that's my first memory.
Okay. And it's interesting. I always think when I ask that question to people, it is so often attached to an emotion or a strong emotion. I just wanted to come back to what we talked about last time, were about going to secondary school and feeling a bit of an outsider, and that. Can you sort of just describe to me what that felt like? Were you with your brothers in that secondary school, or were you on your own? So
they were still at the school. Yeah.
And was that the first time you felt like an outsider?
First time I felt like an outsider was probably no. The school I got kicked out of, I was by myself. Right. My siblings were already in Haley Manor at that point, so I went to join them.
So when you were at Egham, you were on your own. And,
that was I would say that's the first time I felt like an outsider. That was a very sensitive time. Yeah, that was a sensitive time. I remember, I was overweight. I was angry, and I just felt I was 1 out of 3 of students from my primary school that went to that secondary school, and the 2 individuals you weren't
one
friends. Was a female. He was very distant, which was very distasteful, because she was like, she did well, she girl. And I was a pretty girl. Like, I feel like she just got settled in, and it was almost like she acted like she didn't know me. And it was weird, because I was popular. I was that kid in school. Yeah. But that don't mean nothing when you go into a secondary school that's already got the popular kids. Yeah. Yeah. And I was always friends with I was friends with the popular kids, but I had to adjust very quickly. And that's what happened. I adjusted very quickly. Yeah. And the way I adjusted very quickly was to use my strength. Yeah. So like fight. So I was in school. To be popular, you got to be the strongest in the year, you got to be the fastest in the year, or the funniest in the year. Yeah. I was all 3.
So you did adapt.
I adapt, but no, naturally, it's especially with the fighting. That was I know in the playground. Year 8, I remember the year 8s came onto the playground. They started picking on these group of the year 7 kids. My closest friend, I won't say his name, but he was very popular. Right. And he came from a school called Spring Park, which was in Shrublands. Yeah. And all of those kids essentially all went to Edenham. Okay. So they already knew the year 8s, the year 9s. So as soon as they came, they already had this rivalry with their older peers. Yeah. So they will play fighting. Yeah. So then it was year 7s versus 8. So I remember diving into that playground, getting myself involved, defending my good friend, and then instantly we got into fighting these year 8s, and that's how we we bonded through fighting.
Okay, so and then when you got home though, it was a different. You never said anything to your parents or anything.
Nah, they only saw the highlights, and I don't know what it was, but there was a lot of ignorance in my household.
Yeah.
But I didn't
was it turning a blind eye? Do you think, or
you gotta ask them?
Yeah,
I feel like I just call it ignorance. Like when, like so many. I don't know if I want to even. Like, there's just so many silly things. Like when I first got found with weed. No, all money. Let's talk about money. I remember when my dad probably saw 200 quid, found 200 quid in my room. Or I got stopped by police and they found 200. I had 200 pounds in me. They called my parents. They said, "How has you got this money?" And essentially, my dad started to challenge me. And then I told my dad I was doing paper rounds.
Right. And he chose,
and he believed that. I said, "I'd be leaving early to do paper round." He didn't even go and find out where I said, "Oh, by the post."
Yeah.
How does
you don't get 200 quid?
You don't get. You know what I mean? I don't even know if that's a legal thing. So that's ignorant. He didn't challenge that. He didn't unpack that because at that time I was really selling drugs.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean by ignorance.
Okay. Let's come on to what was your happiest memory in your life?
My happiest. I'm grateful to have so many happy memories, especially as an adult now. I guess a happy moment of my life that I think about that I would like to share is probably having my daughter.
Yeah.
Probably having my daughter. Yeah.
Can you tell me a bit about the day and how it
unfolded? So she was born from a cesarean, which wasn't the plan. But it gave us so much intentionality through the process to adjust and get her. And when we we planned. And I guess the main memory I'm thinking about is when she was born, I intentionally read a passage of my journal to her, which was written to her. Because I journaled.
A letter to her. Message.
A message to her. I read it, and it's going to be something I can read to her on her 18th birthday. It was a blessing over her. It was a prayer. It was just me sharing, and I got that on recording. So I intentionally said, "Okay, cool. You've done the skin to skin. Cool. She's latched. She's done your breastfeeding fine. Right now, it's Daddy's turn to read this journal." And that was a big thing for me to just really
that bonding moment,
intentionally speak.
Yeah,
because I think I went down the wrong path because of a lot of things that were spoken over me. I just want to speak life over my children,
positive,
and the fact that I started it perfectly in that moment is something I'm happy about.
Oh man, that's really good. That's lovely. And just actually just rewind a bit because you talk about your wife. So how do you meet your wife?
How did I meet my wife? I've been with my wife now for 3 years. We've been together for maybe coming up to 8. She's a forensic psychologist. So
whatever you say, I always think about my body language.
No, she studies offenders.
Right. Okay.
And she studied me.
Yeah.
Literally, she's so gifted in learning and researching why offenders offend. She wants to unpack their traumas. So she would love questions that you're asking today. And in our early friendship, our conversations was just profound and deep. And I hadn't done counseling or therapy at this point. I was able to communicate my story and trauma detached to the emotions that were connected to it.
Yeah.
And it was only her that was the first person that when I shared, and she was just a phenomenal listener. As I shared, she was actually giving me the emotions because she was sad.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, I've been stabbed 5 times." And she was like, "Oh, what do you mean you've been stabbed?" And I'm like, "You get stabbed where I'm from." And she would be like, "Oh, that's not normal." And she would be able to give me some of the emotional intelligence to then make me think, "Oh yeah, it's not normal." And then that was subconsciously, that put me on my own journey of psychology. And I love psychology today.
Yeah. And you met her on a bus, is that right?
Yeah. You're a good memory. You done your research. At the end of an event, a church event, we were both leaving and we got on the same bus, the 468, back towards Croydon. And yeah, that was our first conversation. Yeah.
Wow, amazing. God's amazing. Yeah. Okay, brilliant. Okay, and then tell me about a challenge you've had in your life. What is your biggest challenge, you think?
Oh man, oh man, challenges. I mean, parenting is definitely a challenge, but I don't want to talk about parenting. I would say a challenge that I probably want to communicate to your listeners is probably, going after the missions that God puts in front of you. Yeah. I don't. If I'm not passionate about something, I can't move. And I feel like my testimony, my journey today is God's put something in front of me that's big, and I've discovered a passion to do it, and then I forget how big it is.
So you minimize, get trapped into a sort of prison cell of, I'm not going to lift my head because I'm trying to understand.
I'm still unpacking. I would say, my career, like I've been self-employed since 2023. I'm 29 now. And that's just been, I've gone out, as an entrepreneur, as a creative, I have the opportunity, the benefit, I would like to say, to do new things. And some of those things have had to they've really challenged me to tap into a place of passion to do them. Because as I said, I won't be effective, I won't move if I'm not passionate about them. So yeah, that's challenges. Specifically though, I would say, taking on mentor. So I'm a musician by trade, but that was a big shift when I took on a director role. And even though, that was a challenge. It's a challenge.
It's a challenge because being creative, I just want to come back to, because God puts things in you right at the beginning, and from your story, it's clear that he put a drive in you to be successful. So even when you were pursuing money, you did it well. Do you know what I mean? So when you were pursuing academic success, you did that. So there was a drive in you. Now, it then took time for God to focus that drive onto his post. So you've always had a sort of drive to, you were saying about what you're passionate about. But in your early years, your passion was, I want to make material gain. And now God has changed that some way. Can you describe can you put into words?
Can I answer that challenge in another way?
Yeah.
If I think about it more deeply, I think my greatest challenge has been to stop. Because as you rightly described, from early, I've always been a high achiever, whether it was in the negative forums of life or the positive. I've always been building. I've been diagnosed as a workaholic. I'm a high performer. Part of that is because I've always wanted to prove my dad wrong. And that was unhealthy for many years. And I still have unhealthy traits till today that I wrestle against daily, which is just always going and always doing, and doing it to a perfection that only God can. So I find a daily challenge or something I constantly go back to is, how can I still myself and know that it isn't me in the driver's seat? And that is something I've had to really learn and create frameworks to prevent me from just going off and just doing everything, especially when people need me in ways that are much deeper than just material. My daughter needs to see her father, not just
Yeah, not a picture
just
on.
to see all the stuff that he can give her.
Yeah.
And it's hard because for those that can relate, when you're operating from a drive of performance, it's like a cog is turning in your brain, and the momentum of that movement has created a emotion that sometimes can't stop. So many nights I lie down and I'm trying to go to sleep, but it's like the cogs are still turning. Not even because I'm doing anything in that moment. It's just the momentum from all the things I do. And some of the velocity of some of the things I do are so intense.
Yeah.
But I'm so used to doing it. It's just like the cogs turning.
Can I say, I think often what God does is he puts a seed in us right at the beginning. And I think it's really interesting that you said for a few months you put music down. And you were talking about being in the driver's seat. And actually, I think that very act of,
obedience.
Okay, I'm putting it down, and in fact, I'm going to throw this phone away as well. I'm no longer in the driver's seat. You know, I'm saying I'm no longer in the driver's seat. Lord, I want you to have control. So do you think you're learning that lesson because I think he often plants seed and then we have to grow into it. You know what I mean?
I'm learning that message and learning that lesson daily, but you still grow. And the reality is God doesn't want us to be stagnant. He just wants us to be obedient.
Yeah.
And I have a great conversation style with the Lord where I'm like, you done it. Like when I had my first child, I was like, if this is your child, it is. Children are the inheritance of the Lord. I'm like, okay, so you're gonna provide, and that's what. But when God gives you vision, He gives you provision, and I find myself being placed in places that I didn't drive to. I'm not. So now it's like He's in the driver's seat. Oh, meant for get out. Fatherhood, get out. Marriage, get out. I've dropped you off here. I didn't know how I got here. He drops you off, and that's the balance where I'm like, oh, okay. Even when I try to slow down, Andy, like, boom, next stop, and I have to get it done. So, and He's faithful to actually meet me at every need there. So I still do find myself at a peace, even though life is very go, go, go. I still find a peace with me, which is the Lord, because He got me here and He trusts me. And that's a blessing and a humbling thing when I realize, oh, wait, I didn't get here by myself. So you really trust me to do this? All right, I will do it. And I just need to make sure I'm still looking after myself. And looking after my family. But above that, know that He's looking after me.
And He's in the driver's seat.
And He's in the driver's seat, absolutely. 1000%.
Excellent. Okay. Can I just take you back to, so you say, oh, I was stabbed 5 times. You know, they were different times. What do you think you learned from, do you think you learned anything from those experiences?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I learned so many things. I won't unpack all of them, but I just, as a list, I learned your friends are not really your friends sometimes. In all of those scenarios, I learned who was my friend and who wasn't my friend. Who was
going to stick with you.
And I also learned life is precious. Because even forget about my life for a second. I saw one of my friends who didn't want to be a part of the repercussions of my stabbing. He opted out. And he's one of the men in this life I respect the most because he taught me to cherish life. Where everyone was just like, yeah, let's go and do this and take revenge. He said, Luke, I'm not coming.
I'm going to step aside it.
And I understood that now, where I realized some of the things that happened could have happened. And I'm like, no, okay, life is precious. So now, you know, I it's hard to teach that to a child, how expensive life is. And I'm like, so I respect that. So I learned that. And sometimes I flinch at the memory, knowing of how many times I've been stabbed, where kids are getting stabbed once and their life is gone. So that's an ongoing lesson I dwell on about, you know, the value of life. Yeah, I learned so much from.
Yeah. Okay. And just finally, is there one more challenge that you can think of to
A challenge, specific challenge.
Yeah.
I am so fascinated with the concept of growth. Like the idea that something can look completely different to what it once was. That metamorphosis. Caterpillar, butterfly. The growth mindset is something I've really dived into, where I've tried to really unpack what is it about pressure that can birth something.
Yeah.
If there is resilience. And that is a part of my testimony where I fantasize about seeing old people. I love seeing my old friends, and they're like, Shady, like, who are you? And it's like, because they remind me of who I once was. And then all of a sudden, it's like right in front of me, I'm understanding that metamorphosis is taking place. So I'm really keen on supporting the narrative of someone being able to transform and redefine constantly. And that comes from when they're exposed.
And do you think pressure is a key part? Do you think, because one of your albums is Caterpillar?
Yeah, How to Kill a Caterpillar.
How to Kill a Caterpillar.
And that is all, so that album is literally celebrating the concept of growth, you know, and for How to Kill a Caterpillar, it's in the title, death. Something needs to die.
Yeah.
For a new thing to come alive.
Yeah.
And when you know what is going to come alive is better, is greater, far more beautiful. If you can get with the idea that something needs to be put to death, you are going to have a great, beautiful transition. And I feel like people are refusing to put parts of them to death that they know need to die. We know as believers, that's our flesh, constantly putting that to the cross, right?
Yeah.
And obviously it's that same mentality that if you want to be able to transition to a career or transition into a new place in wealth or environment and family, there is something that you need to evaluate about yourself and put to death. And when you can give that person a new perspective, they will begin to understand that is possible.
And it brings us all the way back to the gospel, because Jesus, in his very nature, became flesh, had to go through more pressure than anybody else will ever go through, and then transformed and released the Holy Spirit.
So that we don't need to do it by ourselves.
Exactly.
But we understand that message.
So that message is key to everybody's life. There's a combination of caterpillar to butterfly. I love that. But in the middle, there has to be pressure somewhere.
Yeah.
And I guess that's the story of your life, really, is caterpillar, pressure, butterfly.
Absolutely. And that's why I say growth. Because God, and understanding that, you know, Bible says, faith cometh by hearing. And so you need to hear that. And faith is a gift. So faith is not something you can just develop on your own. But it's a revelation of once you've heard truth, that good news. So me hearing that you can be this person.
Yes.
I've done the work for you. All you need to do is accept it. I've done the hard work.
Yeah.
That's the truth. So we are actually butterflies.
We're already butterflies.
He's already done that work. But a lot of people, when we think of the young people and everyone, they're in turmoil. That's why Meant For talks about pining for gold. We're not putting the gold in them. It's already in you.
Yeah.
He's done. It's just about you understanding that and then bringing it out.
Yeah.
And I think that's the excitement where I'm like, where I'm going is a path that's already been designed for me.
Yeah. The plan is already there. You've just got to surrender so that he can
yeah,
see that plan.
exactly. And sometimes that looks like elevating your view, exposing yourself to opportunities that you don't think you can go for, but something saying, yeah, you can. And then you go there and you realize, oh, wow, everything I'm becoming is everything I was.
Yeah.
I just needed to take that
Amen.
step.
And there's unusual steps along the way. Sometimes you need to take.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah. Hey, Luke, it's been such a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me, man.
It's a pleasure knowing you as a friend. Is there anything else you wanted to say before we?
I mean, just the journey that you're on is phenomenal. I think you're a living testimony of that pressure right now. You know, the individual I've met, you've been a mentor, you've been a big brother, and I'm constantly seeing it in just your obedience, you know, for your world in politics, your world in social impact, and now your world in creativity and using your voice, amplifying it through the book and the podcast. That is exactly the examples that put me on the trajectory I'm on, because there's no barriers to the success that God can give us. So
Amen.
Thank you for being an inspiration, and just keep on, man.
God bless.
Come on, man.
Is that all right? Comment, like, and subscribe to the channel. Remember, vulnerability is the bridge to better relationships. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.